Hello, my name is Michael and I'm a composer of classical music. There are many reasons why people listen to classical music, and their engagement with it depends also on the environment that they're hearing it. It might be the concert hall where the listening would be much more concentrated, or it can be in a background piece while they're maybe doing a chore at home or driving somewhere in a car. But for many people, it is certainly the emotional engagement with the piece, whatever the circumstances, that draws them to hearing it. And indeed, most people will have their favourite pieces, and some they will listen time and time again over many, many years. So, what is it about those pieces that draws someone to listen to it again and again? And it's probable that it is those very special moments that they hear, feel, and come away with from listening to the music. And so today, I'd just like to mention one or two special moments in a piece of mine called Silvered Night, which was written for piano and orchestra. So let's listen to a little bit of music, but before doing so, I'll put it in context as it probably will make more sense. This work for piano and orchestra, as I said, is kind of in the form of a concerto, but all folded within one movement. So yes, we have a more energetic opening, there is a gentler, softer middle section or movement, and then the more forceful, energetic close of the work. Now, I would say probably the first very special moment, or not so much climactic, that's probably putting it a bit strong, is about a third of the way into the slower middle section. Now, to set it up, I had in mind that very dark, quiet, cold, moonlit night, which would have been so frequently felt and experienced in World War One. The occasional shell burst, the cry of an animal, or goodness, something more horrible. So that was the kind of atmosphere that I had set up. And actually in this piece, I had used a very short motif which was reminiscent of a machine gun rattle, but by slowing it down, it then helped to give the atmosphere that I wanted in the piece. So I've set up a kind of emotional connection with the listener, but now it was time to give it a boost. So let's have a listen first of all, and this is where the brass comes in and gives that strength compared with what's come before. And I should add that the pianist is the wonderful Mark Bebbington, and the orchestra here is the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Play button. Play. So why did I use just the brass in this particular moment? I would say that it was too early in the piece, even though it was quite a few minutes on, for such an emotional high, which would have come if the full force of the orchestra had been added. And I also felt that because of this looser connection with the war, the brass band would have been much more popular, would have been part of life much more than it is now. And so I wanted to just make a simple connection to that period. And so by using the brass to really orchestrate the little motif that was running through the whole piece, it just gave that slight high that I wanted. For me, the absolute perfect master of the orchestral climax was probably Sibelius. And what fascinates me about him is that you kind of feel that moment coming, even though it was actually quite a long way off. And then he could judge it, he could touch it, he could push it up a notch and then just bring it down. And it was the most incredible manipulation of the emotional experience for the listener. I would actually add that many years ago I did visit Sibelius's house just 30 odd mile outside of Helsinki, and it was the most incredible experience because the context, the surroundings of the house was absolutely what you imagine with Sibelius. And it always made me laugh because I think, if I remember right, he had 5 or 6 children, and his wife was really under strict instructions not to let these many children make any noise during the day while he was writing his music. How on earth they did that, I don't know. But in the grounds just outside this lovely, lovely house were the 2 graves of Sibelius and his wife, and I hope they felt comfortable with each other. And so we move forward to a different kind of special moment, not climactic, but rather just setting out to be rather beautiful and gentle. And so for this I turn to the strings, although it should be said that the wind also plays an absolutely important role in getting the slight mixture of sadness and beauty, which is a kind of subtle texture to try and find. So it starts with the very gentle strings, and even the little clipped staccato notes at the beginning of the section play a kind of little role in lightening the feel of it, whereas if they were not staccato, it would just kind of feel a little more sloppy, shall we say. And it's only a very minor point, but it's the kind of thing that you try and get exactly right. And so when the bassoon with that rather haunting feel comes in, it just works so perfectly with the strings. So this then forms an elegy to that almost has a feeling of a dove flying over that rather broken landscape that I had depicted earlier on, with the broken tree, the mud, the moon, the starburst, and goodness knows what else. And so here, suddenly it's all over, and we can just reflect with a relief of surviving, shall we say, and a looking back to friends and colleagues lost.
Play button. Play.
And so we come to the end of the work where the main climax of the piece is, and the full force of the orchestra are playing, and it kind of ends as a much more traditional concerto form. And of course, one benefits from the piano being such a powerful instrument that can really compete very well with all the various orchestral forces. For me, it was quite a difficult passage to write because I won't go into too much detail here, but I work with very little eyesight. And so because I have the score on the computer very, very enlarged, basically if you're working on an instrument at the top of the score, like the flutes, oboes, or bassoons, and you want to check out what you've done with an instrument at the bottom of the score, like the cellos, double basses, or violas, then it's a lot of scrolling up and down. And because you're working both horizontally and vertically, it's a pretty laborious process. But on the other hand, that's really what writing a piece of music is about. So here we are. Here's the end of Silvered Night for piano and orchestra, pianist Mark Bebbington and the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra. Play button. Play. So there we are. That's just a few words on those very special moments that you try and put in a piece of music. Next time, I'd like to say a few words about how you begin a piece. It's such a fascinating subject and so important to how successful a work is. So, see you again.